Hello, welcome to the Dive In. I'm your host, Kathleen, and today I have once again Akash.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, fellow watchers and listeners. Today for my coffee, I have this cute little espresso cup. Yes, and inside the espresso cup is espresso. I made it with coffee from Grit Coffee. That's right, Grit Coffee from, where was I? I was in Charlottesville, Virginia. That's right, I didn't forget. I figured it out. I was there. It's very good. It's like really roasty and dark chocolatey.
What does your cup say?
I don't know. I just got these. My friend gave them to me. They say like mocha, cappuccino, au latte, just a bunch of coffee words. I don't know if
Okay.
that comes across
Did
very
you
well.
did your friend give this to you because Lila kept stealing your espresso cup?
We don't need to go into that. I will have my own espresso cup soon. This was gifted, but like it even had little spot with little.
It's really cute. You got like little cookies on there and everything. I'm a little jealous.
I wanted to make it cute for the video.
I've just got Trader Joe's cold brew. Woo!
I hear that's really good, actually.
It's pretty good. Yeah. I mean, I put milk in it.
You know what it's not as good as?
Bright coffee.
Grit Coffee. Please. If any coffee company wants to sponsor this podcast, I'm not here all the time, but I'll take the coffee.
He will promote it for you.
I'll chill. I'm all about chilling.
Oh my gosh. I got something by.
Oh, it happens. I'm just happy I don't have something in my mustache.
Oh, yeah, it is looking very handlebar-y today.
It is quite large today. I'm thinking I'm going to bring it down. This is not what we need to talk about, but I do have a similar beard to one of the characters in this movie, actually. I was looking at it and I was like, that man's stealing my look.
All right. Well, speaking of the movie, we are going to be talking about Furiosa today, which is the prequel, I guess, to Mad Max Fury Road. It's the backstory for Furiosa from Mad Max Fury Road. Well, I guess would be the best way to describe it, because there's a lot of movies that come before, and I was trying to figure out timelines of everything when it comes to Mad Max, and
that seems like a lot.
it's a lot, because I watched a trailer of the very first Mad Max, and it's literally the 80s, but there's still cops and civilization, but then they're talking about stuff going like way back in time. It's about like generations, like somehow enough time has passed that we're getting mutations, even though like I don't even know. A lot of
everything was different before the water wars. Stares off into the distance. 1,000-yard stare. I think it's interesting to note that George Miller said that this film script was basically completed before Mad Max Fury Road.
Interesting.
I think there's a quote here somewhere. Let me find it really quick. In order to tell that story cohesively, we had to know everything that happened in the time before. So we wrote a story about Furiosa from the time she was taken as a child, as she refers to it in Fury Road, until she became the Imperator Furiosa. That ended up as a full screenplay with the concept art and so on. And the actors, the designers, and all the crew got the screenplay of that before shooting Fury Road. So this has been known for a while.
Yeah.
And yeah, it does definitely have a different vibe than Fury Road, in my opinion.
I agree. I almost feel like they used a different film style. Like the camera angles were different. They did chapters for this, which I thought was.
I'm not opposed to chapters by any means, especially in the length of like this story being told. But it took away.
It did feel
me
necessary.
Out of the
yeah, and it felt kind of like it almost looked like an afterthought with how simple the chapter like divides were, if that makes sense.
It seemed, and perhaps this is me reading too far into it, it seemed like this was supposed to be like a 4-part limited series.
Interesting.
Like, I think they could have made this into a limited series if they really wanted to and been totally fine. And it would have been longer, obviously, but like, it would have been a 3-part limited series, honestly. Yeah. Child getting to getting right before Imperator, and then like leading all of the stuff that happens leading up to Fury Road. Like, boom, bam, bam, 3 episodes.
Honestly, I could see like this being a show that probably maybe like the 80s and 90s, but this would have been a really good show.
I
Yeah.
I would have heard about this show from a friend and then watched it and then been on her podcast.
And not mine.
I'm just saying in this alternate timeline that we're talking about. I
Uh,
it
yeah.
the it was interesting because this we saw more green in this episode in like this movie in the
Mhm.
first 5 minutes than all of it.
Yes, yes. Which they, I mean, they had to because they it literally called the green place, so they had to show green um within the story. Like they had to show us where she came from, or at least part of it in the very least, which it seemed to be, I mean, it still seemed to be a women-led society. They did have men, unlike when she comes back to the green place later on. But
To put it into
yeah,
perspective,
yeah.
In Fury Road, it is stated that, or it's assumed that Furiosa is between 30 and 32. She was
There's
kidnapped around 11 to 13. So in like 2 decades, that green place turned into that swamp.
I could see that though, because you got to remember there's some storylines include a nuclear war, so like those toxins are going to take over all the greenery over time, and then I'm sure if any scavengers came by, they would like take everything for what it's worth. I don't think anyone's going to come in, especially with their intelligence. I don't think people are just going to come in and just be like, all right, let's sit here and water everything and take care of it, start a gardening club. Like, I don't see these people
I
doing that.
mean,
I see them tearing it
we have a
apart.
history man, we have a doctor man, we have a organic mechanic. Like we've
Yeah.
got jobs. There could be a plant person.
Yeah, but would all of them listen to them, or would they just take everything for themselves because they're scavengers?
I mean, the bullet farmer farms.
Yes.
It might be bullets, but he's got farmer in the name. And hey, at the end of this movie, we see a tree growing.
Yes, and a very inconspicuous place.
It is a you know that's a nutrient rich soil it was planted
Yep. Freshly planted nuts to have that
in.
tree
Literally.
grow.
Hmm.
Yep. hmm Yeah.
Um, I do have to say though, it was very interesting to watch a young Immortan Joe
Mm.
not do much.
Yeah. He was very much, he took a back seat for sure.
He was like because at no point was he a silent character by any
Yeah.
means in Fury Road, but he spoke much less in this movie, and it was very much I think it was to, like build him up and make this scary guy, but like shit
Yeah.
still went down.
Yeah. And there, honestly, it's the script as a whole, there wasn't much in general, especially on Furiosa's side. I
Uh,
mean, she
yeah.
pretended to be a mute, which I guess is a great way to allow her not to have to speak and blend in with the war boys, but it we didn't replace the lack of speech with a ton of action. I feel like one thing that I want to point out is that like Mad Max Fury Road was kind of one long story, and it was just filled with a lot of action, a lot of car chases, or one long car chase. But this one was just multiple stories about one person within this movie, and so they were vastly different because of that. And I feel like it pulled away from like the art that they had put into Mad Max Fury Road, and the all of the car chase, the car chase that they had was like beautifully done and like cut together so well. And then this one I feel like it kind of lacked a little bit of that, or a lot of it.
So I agree
Yeah.
because of what happened. So there was a 15-minute action sequence in this film, and it took them 78 days to shoot it.
Wow.
It took them 78 days with close to 200 people working on it daily.
Yeah.
There's a quote by Anna Taylor-Joy right here. She revealed George and I would have these big conversations about why this particular set piece was so long. Is
hmm
because you need to see an accumulation of skills over the course of a battle, And that's very important for understanding how resourceful Furiosa is, but also her grit.
Hmm.
And on the day they wrapped the shoot, everywhere got a Stairway to Nowhere wine.
Okay, I don't know what that is.
Um, During the production, known as Stairway to Nowhere is what the scene was called for them.
Oh, okay, okay.
But it was
Uh,
like
yeah.
the action sequences being separated by those chapters
Hmm.
really cut into them. And then like we had some exposition when Dementis, Chris Hemsworth, shows up and is like, I will take this place. And he's a crazy person. We
Yeah,
obviously know that. Like in Fury Road, Immorphan Joe, we know is an insane person. And the people that follow him are insane people in this wasteland. But Immortan Joe isn't dumb.
no.
Like he's got his head on
Yeah, because I mean,
still.
he listened to Furiosa when she was
Mm-hmm.
like, "No, don't leave the Citadel exposed." You think he would have remembered that later on, but he didn't, especially with how close together these timelines are. But
It
I
is, and
mean,
then
yeah,
we get Chris Hemsworth, who's just a crazy person. Like he
yeah,
literally just wants what everyone else has. Why people follow this man, I have no idea.
yeah, yeah,
Like it's not like he's charismatic. Like Chris Hemsworth's charismatic, and these are crazy people, but it's not like the people following him are not war boy crazy followers,
yeah,
worshippers by any means. They're just
yeah,
people. They're just
yeah.
like this guy's in charge. Why? Like
I,
we
I,
we get Smeg who works for him, and he seems like he's got a better head on his shoulders.
yeah. I think a lot of it is just kind of I feel like he was one of those guys that was like right place at the right time, and all these people kind of are just looking for leadership. And it's not that he actually knows how to lead. He just kind of just stepped into it and was like, "Well, I'm here now, so you will have to listen to me. Look at me with a historian and an Oregon guy. Like
He's got a beard. Maybe the beard.
maybe I don't know.
He
Um,
kills people well. Like he's good at killing people.
yeah, you know what? Just because I'm thinking about Chris Hemsworth and his face during this. I'm
Mm-hmm.
assuming that was prosthetics on his face, which I find very interesting because the
What, the
girl,
mustache or the nose?
the nose,
Mm-hmm.
um, but he so he had prosthetics, but yet the person who played younger Furiosa had Anya Taylor-Joy's face CGI'd onto her. So it's just kind of like
Is that what that was? I was like, why does this kid look a little weird?
yeah, that like because I looked up pictures of her and I was like, they don't have the same nose, but yet the nose is different in Furiosa. And I Googled it and they CGI'd her face. They actually utilized CGI quite a bit, which I think the first one did as well, but
The
it was
CGI
just so
seemed a
much
lot more
cleaner.
noticeable.
Yeah,
It seemed a lot more noticeable in this one. And
yeah,
not to mean it was like bad by any means, but it's just like
in
it
comparison.
in Fury Road, there were scenes where people died, and you're like, oh well, that's just CGI. Like when one of the Volvani get run over in Fury
Yeah,
Road, you're like, well, that was a weird. But it was like a half a second, not
yeah,
even.
yeah,
Here, like the CGI was like used a lot longer, like uh, especially when her hand gets like shredded by that tire.
yeah.
Um,
Uh,
but yeah,
Yeah, I do feel like as far as the story goes, I feel like they just threw so much in there. They're like, let's make this cohesive and tie back into the original one by going through each and every single area of like we went to the Greenland, we went to the Bullet Farm, we went to Gasoline, we went to the Citadel, like we went to all of these places. Uh, Honestly, what felt like just to go there, like it didn't truly drive the story forward in a way, like because we know that she wants to go back to the green place. We know what happens because we've seen Mad Max Fury Road. We know the backstory as well, just from our last podcast. So it was just kind of like we're seeing some stuff unravel. Like they threw in your favorite guy for like 2 seconds, um, and then but like didn't
the
they
Doof
don't
Warrior needed more
yeah
space, more screen time.
yeah like
Absurd that we didn't get more Doof.
yeah, it's like they just like kind of like threw in little bits like, oh, here's what you want to see, but it didn't satisfy. It was just almost like I want to call it an amuse bouche, and we wanted a full meal. Like it wasn't
Yeah,
enough of what they were giving us.
I
Yeah.
think
They
because this
took
is a
they took too much, and we
this
should have just
yeah,
honed in on one thing. Yeah.
they had this long time
Hmm.
and they wanted and they gave us like like 20 minutes minimum. Like it was longer than that, but there was like each chapter was at least 20 minutes. But it's like when she was kidnapped and we see like someone following after her, but like to make sure no one can talk about it. It's like great, cool.
Yeah.
But like after that, you should have just left. It's like she knows she's not gonna squeal. Like you're all trained apparently, and like
Yeah.
that could have been it. We were good.
Yeah.
Like
Well, I mean, they
like
wanted her back, but
yeah, which I
yeah.
understand, but like it like they still left her.
Wait, hold on. Go back. What do you mean?
The
The
lady still left her to
she
like be taken.
she died.
Well, okay. Yes, she died. So she never came back. Like the
Yeah.
other people know, but like that's like she could have just killed all the guys.
Yeah.
And I understand trying to take her, but she got betrayed by some other lady, like some random woman. Like she was like, "Oh, I'm a mother too," and then like go after her, Dementus, like a freaking Pokemon. This lady sent Dementus after them. That's a great way to put Dementus. Dementus is
Yeah.
just like a Pokemon character. He's just like anyone he sees, instant Pokemon battle. Like
Yeah.
shows up to Mortan Joe. It's like I'll be in charge, and then this man with a red beard, because he's still young at this point, looks up at a man with tubes, a skull mask, a war boy committing
Mhm.
explosive suicide for him, and he was like, I have 1,000 warriors. Okay, you are in the worst position to start a fight, like literally on the low ground.
Yeah.
So it's one of those like he lost hundreds upon hundreds of people, and then when he tried to and like being mute for a couple years playing the war boy was smart, but damn, like was young Furiosa just like this is not my dad.
Yeah.
This is not my dad. Like look at
Oh,
this.
yeah. Which I believe his hair was only red because of the flare. Because they had the like the red
Oh
color thing.
yeah,
Because
yeah. So,
Furiosa's hair was red as well. Yeah,
he just had so many different hair because this movie like his hair color changes
it
throughout this
does.
movie.
It really does. Yeah, no, I agree with you there. Because for a minute, I literally sat there and I was like, did Furiosa's hair turn red? Like, what's going on here? Like, why was this not cleaned off with the rest of the stuff? But I guess it's
They
in their
made him
hair and they
old.
couldn't.
They made him old by the end of it.
Yeah, no, they did. But yeah, I would have loved to have seen her more with the War Boys. Like I thought that was gonna be a concentration of this and like seeing her move up the ranks, but instead we see her like trying to leave and go from place to place, and you're kind of like, how can he trust her? That's my biggest thing is like she did she said one good thing at one point in time, and now like he trusts her enough to be around his wives again, and it's kind of like she ran once.
Yeah.
Why? Yeah. And I thought for sure like her arm, I with it having the stars and the map on it and everything, I thought someone was gonna like steal her arm so that they could follow the map, or steal it so that she couldn't follow the map, or something along those lines. Like I feel like that
Oh,
was a miss.
that would have been cool.
Yeah, like I feel like that was like a missed plot point. Like they didn't even, or like they didn't even reference it again. Like when she was older and she's in front of Erectus? Rectus?
Rictus?
Rictus. Yes, Rictus. Like his
Rictus erectus. That's his name. It's Rictus erectus. You weren't
okay,
wrong.
I wasn't wrong. Okay, cool. What was his brother's name?
Scrotus.
Thank you. But like he could have identified her with that arm, but and they like almost alluded to it, but they didn't give enough attention. Like he saw one arm, but not the other, but there wasn't, I didn't feel like he was ever gonna see it or remember. Like there was no tension or fear that she was gonna get caught or recognized or anything like that. So I was kind of like there was another plot point. Like we could have stayed in the Citadel the entire time and had a great movie.
We
Um,
also like what the fuck happened to Scrotus?
don't know because he wasn't in Fury Road, correct?
He was not. I like
Yeah.
and I was like, okay, we're gonna see him die. And we don't. We just see her ride off and the history man being like the darkest of angels. And I'm like, are you senile, old man?
That was so random too, because the historian would randomly talk at points. And I was like, if
Which
he's
was
not,
cool. We learned about
yeah,
the 1 day war.
but he should have narrated the entire time instead of just randomly.
Just like it's like this was the 40-day war. And I'm just like, history man. What history are you talking about, bro? Like he was like the water wars. the nuclear wars, the gasoline wars. I'm like, okay, give me a whole movie about the gasoline
Yeah.
war.
Yeah, right. I want to know how he was able to write all over himself. Like, did he just sit there with a mirror and was like, okay, we're gonna have it go down my arm, look in the mirror, write backwards, get it across my face, and then back across the other arm? Like, how did he do
They,
that?
dude, I don't know, but I just pulled up some of the quotes from the history, man, and these
Yeah.
are the ones that were big. There will always be war, but to get home, Furiosa fought the world. Okay.
Okay.
The Darkest of Angels, the fifth rider of the apocalypse. We had never mentioned the apocalypse, period.
No.
Nothing was, and then the war one. Here we go. This is what he said, and they really wanted to quote freaking Fallout right here. There always was, is, and will be war. They just wanted to be like war never changes. Like I know they did, but it's like the Sumerian fought the Elamite. Okay, I know who Sumeria is. I don't know what the Elamite is. Saxon fought the Viking. You're not talking about the Saxons or the Vikings. And so the histories grew. Did they? There were wars of the roses. I know that one. The oranges. You've lost me. The opium wars. I believe that's just now. There were the 1 day, the 6 day, the 1,000 day. He does not say war after this. He just says the 1,000 day. North against south, east against west. The first, second, third count those wars of religion and righteous belief. All right. And then we get to this one. The oil wars, the water wars, a tri-nation nuclear war, the battle of the boom towns. And now, my dears, the 40-day wasteland war. What a shitty fucking war name. The 40-day wasteland war.
Yeah,
That's what
all the build up for just that.
I was like something and honestly, Dementis just gets his shit rocked.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
he like it like it's not even close. Like you see, he's like, I'm gonna do this and the bullet farm, and they fucked it up, and like we'll fight, go to war, and he just gets wrecked.
Yeah.
Like we don't even actually see most of the war.
No, not at all. And they were like way more open with showing us some of like the grosser stuff, or at least like more alluding to the the like deaths and stuff like that than they were in the last one. Like when they chain people to the back of the bikes and
Mm-hmm.
let the dogs go after them, which is just horrific, by the way. I'm glad they
Oh my
didn't
god.
like show anything graphic wise, but just to know like that's how.
When they said canine kebabs, I was like, nope. I was like, no, that's not no.
Mm-mm,
And
no.
then we had a random love story.
Yeah, which like it felt like they just threw it in there just to throw it in there, and I was kind of like, how, why does she trust him? Like, where there, it should have been the whole story if that was going to be the story. Like, it shouldn't have just been like, hey, we're gonna throw this in there because we didn't even see Anya Taylor-Joy until at least halfway through the movie. I remember about an hour, I thought we were switching over to her, which we hadn't yet, and I was like, wow, we are literally an hour in, have not seen Anya Taylor-Joy, and she's
Oh,
supposed to be the lead in this.
okay,
And
so
it's
the actress that played young,
yeah,
uh, young Furiosa, her name's Alia. Sorry, Alyla Brown, Alyla. I assume Alia
mm,
Brown. And she did really good. Let me just
yeah.
like
Oh no,
we haven't said her name, but she
yeah,
did really good, and she's been in other movies.
yeah.
Like she's been in other movies, like True Spirit, Eden, Children of the Corn from 2020. She's been in
I,
Nine Perfect Strangers. I just like she was in this movie for just as long as Anya Taylor-Joy, and she deserves
yeah,
just as much recognition.
I agree. Yeah. No, I agree because they promoted it very much like, oh, Anya Taylor-Joy, she's the big headliner, along with Chris Hemsworth, and it's like, well, she was only in it half the time.
They
Like there was someone else
also
playing her.
apparently George Miller really wanted to be their love story to be more physically obvious.
Mm,
And but Tom Burke, and I'm reading this off of IMDb. This is not, I did not watch a video. I'm reading this as it is here.
yeah,
Tom Burke successfully argued that it made more sense that and would be more romantic for them to put any feelings they had on hold and to the side until they believed they were safe and on the way to freedom. Because they do try to escape at one point. They're like, we can just leave.
yeah, yeah.
And we get a call back with that monster truck scene, it being the only one that can
Mm.
get over one of the ditches. It calls back to Immortan Joe in the same way, doing that in
Yeah, it felt like there was there.
the older movie, but the sequel technically.
Yeah, there was a lot of callbacks like with the tanker truck, which they must get back at some point. Uh, because it got left in a hole. So they
A
must get
big
it.
hole.
Yeah, so they have to get it back at some point. But it just that and then oh, I lost my train of thought. I don't remember what I
No,
was
you're
gonna
good.
say.
My dog is over here trying to go into my closet.
Oh, good. That's it.
Perfect time to show up right there, Zero, too, so people know I'm not lying.
Yes, there are actually no dogs. You just talk about them all the time and
Oh my God, that
try to be cool.
would be a terrible dream to wake up from. So
Um,
we're
yeah,
doing all of this, and and this podcast, us talking about it in the way we are, should make a lot of sense. Like them splitting all this up, they also split up these stories into ways that kind of don't make sense because the love story is only in one part.
yeah,
Like it's not spread out over multiple parts by any means. It's in
yeah,
just one section.
yeah.
And his name is Praetorian Jack. I don't remember them saying Praetorian, if I'm honest. I remember Jack. I don't remember Praetorian being in front of him.
Well, I know that's how she became Praetorian Furiosa,
Yes.
because he trained her. So I think it was just kind of a
I
known
I know it's a
title,
title.
I
I know it's a
guess.
title. I guess I didn't realize. I must just not notice when he had said he was Praetor. I just I just didn't notice. I was just like, this is Jack. He Jack. And then the most romantic thing they say to each other is Furiosa going, my Jack.
Hmm.
And then Jack going, Fury.
Yeah, yeah. I like I said, I think you're right, and this should have been a mini series because this should have been that could have been its literally its own movie. Like seeing them as this like badass. I don't even know who they were working for. I'm gonna be completely honest. I was a little lost in that part of if they were under Immortan Joe or someone else at this point.
Yeah, I think Immortan Joe's here, and then it's like a pyramid scheme style down. Because
Yeah,
Bullet Farmer and People Eater would be up here.
yeah, but they were like I don't even know.
We
But
got a lot of People Eater in this one, man. But I did like they brought the organic mechanic, like the doctor, into this, and that's
yeah.
how he was with Dementis, and he's like, I want that guy.
Yeah. That was yeah, it really showed that Immortan Joe was smart and there's a reason why he's a leader versus Dementis who's just kind of like, I'm here, I'm strapping people to my nipples and then I am putting fake bombs on people as well. Like it just it
Ruthless guy, but like, yeah, and Immortan Joe's like, let's line him up, go to
yeah.
war.
Yeah. But yeah, Dementis was especially towards the end, he was just kind of like, you know what, I'm done failing. I'm gonna go all in. I'm gonna withhold stuff if people aren't going to listen to me or take me seriously. And so he really tried to actually tried to make an effort towards the end, which
Oh
did not
yeah.
pay off.
You want to hear something funny? The
What?
actor for Immortan Joe also played a character in Dementis's team.
And what? And Dementis.
So
Oh, who?
Lacey Hulme, who plays Immortan Joe, also played Rizdale Pell. You remember that one-eyed guy that was with Dementis? Like the
Yeah,
one-eyed guy with the crazy hair?
that
That's
was
Immortan
him.
Joe.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
that's so funny.
Yeah,
That's
it's
awesome.
I didn't know that. I'm just looking at the cast and I was like, why does that say two people? And I was like,
I
oh my God. I also
yeah.
didn't know his name was Rizdale.
No, some of the names that they come up with is so weird. But you know what? There was a one scene where they were like, I think they were in a circle and they just sat there and just started saying all their names. I just sat there. I was like, I can't keep up with all these different names that they're just spouting out randomly. It
We
was
also
just
got a random shot of Max in this too, like just randomly. I don't
mhm,
know how old this Max is. I don't
yeah.
know I don't know what age this immortal being is.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's not that much older than Furiosa, I would imagine.
So he should have been a teenager.
At least in this version, yeah. Yeah. But well, I guess he is older. I don't know. So ever since they switched over to Tom Hardy, it's kind of like, who knows? But I think I read that it was his stunt double who came in and like just stood there eating whatever he was eating out of a can.
So in the year 1997, Mad Max is 23 years old. In Mad Max Thunderdome, he is uh, 40 years old, and then in Mad Max Fury Road, his age is retconned to 36 years, even though the film takes 46 years after Thunderdome.
Awesome. Yeah, that makes sense.
So
Yeah.
does it? None of that makes sense. None of that makes sense. But I mean, like, whatever. Like, because I have a Screen Rant article right here where they're just like, I don't know what's happening. I don't know how old he is. We're moving on. But
Yeah,
like,
no,
it doesn't matter.
that's literally what I did last night. I was like, what is the timeline of all of Mad Max movies? And it was just like, well, it was this, and then that happened, and then they decided in the second movie that there was actually a nuclear war before the first movie, even though it's not referenced or seen in the first movie at all. And I was like, okay, cool. So we're just like changing things as we go, but unlike George Lucas, where you go back and CGI in all the things that you wanted to add in, you're just ignoring it and hoping that everyone believes it.
Basically,
Yeah.
like, I mean, there's like so much hypocrisy within these films, and these characters are supposed to be hypocritical.
Yeah.
Like that, it's a crazy world. Like
Yeah.
Dementis is like I don't fear the loss of bliss in heaven or retribution in hell. Doesn't so he's like, it doesn't care, right?
Yeah.
And then he goes, there must be retribution, justice, and retribution. And I'm like, what? And then he's like, but you can never balance the scales of their suffering. And I'm like, who is this for? Like, I'm just like, what? None of this makes sense.
Yeah. No, I agree. And it just,
I love it though. Like, Dementis was a
yeah.
very fun character. Don't know
Yeah.
why anyone followed him, but he was a fun character. Like, and that's what all of these characters had something. Rictus Erectus taking young Furiosa and then cutting off the chastity belt, that stressed me out.
Yeah. That I was kind of like, was this the first time that ever happened? Because she was way too prepared for that. It's like she knew that that was going to happen and was immediately prepared. I was like, is this the first time this has happened or not?
Oh, I didn't even think of it like that.
Oh,
Damn.
I did. Yeah, because I mean, like, like, why would you shave your hair just because someone touched it? That,
At this point,
yeah.
I think that the viewers know that I watch the movie and you watch the movie.
Well, I feel like you listen and I watch, and so that makes us a good duo.
Well, it's
Uh,
because I don't think in English all the time, so I the subtitles help
mm.
me.
Oh, see, I tend to just forget the words a lot and I don't remember all the quotes or anything like that. And I pay
I
attention
love
to
the
all
quotes.
I pay attention to all the background stuff and I'm like, wait, what is that background person doing there? Like, yeah, I don't always focus on the main characters.
I'm a big quote guy because like there's just some iconic quotes from like different movies and stuff like that. I'm
Oh
a
yeah.
big fan of stuff like that.
Yeah.
But like this movie like was fun, but I
Yeah.
don't think it was as fun as
Mad Max.
Fury
Yeah.
Road.
Yeah. There were like a couple scenes that I really enjoyed. Like when she meets Jack, that scene, very much a callback to the Mad Max Fury Road and the styles of how they like battled and everything like that. I love that scene. I thought that scene was great. It's not as clean and crisp as Mad Max Fury Road, but I think that's going to be the theme for the entire movie was it wasn't as good, but that scene I very much enjoyed. And then the other battle scene when they were at were they at Guzzling Town when they were fighting Dementis towards the
Gastown.
end?
It's really
Gastown.
weird. It's called Guzzling, but they call it Gastown.
Okay, well that's okay. Sure, why not?
The
Uh,
ratings of both of these movies are pretty close though, so it does, but
Interesting.
so
I'm
IMDb gave
shocked.
yeah. So well, let's play a game.
Okay.
What do you? I'm gonna tell you the ratings for Fury Road first, and then I'll let you know. So Rotten Tomatoes gave Fury Road 97%. Not
Okay.
that it matters about Rotten Tomatoes. IMDb an 8.1 out of 10. Metacritic 90%. Google users, you telling me Google users, 89% liked the movie.
Okay.
Any guesses on Fury Road for any of those ratings?
I would
Sorry,
like
guesses on Furiosa.
yeah. I would say I mean I would put it like at like 60 70, just in comparison of Mad Max Fury Road.
So 7.7 out of 10 for IMDb, so only about zero point 0.4 less.
Mm.
90% on Rotten Tomatoes, so 7% less. 79% by Metacritic, so Metacritic was 11% less. And then Google reviews say 85% like this movie. So it does seem like, as we said, like it's
Yeah.
good. It's
Yeah.
just not as good.
Yeah. And I will also say this. I know that their numbers are not anywhere near Mad Max Fury Road as far as people going to see the movie. I know
Yeah.
they all these like prequels and sequels coming out, no one's wanting to go see them. Even something like Furiosa that needs to be seen on the big screen for those big intense and colorful scenes and everything like that. People are not going in to see it because they're just like, well,
You're
we'll wait for
not
streaming.
kidding. No,
Yeah,
you're not kidding. Because, like, so Fury Road, because
yeah,
that is what we had to compare this to. Fury Road grossed 154.3 million in the United States and Canada. So over worldwide total for Fury Road was 380.4 million.
hmm
Production budget was 154.6 to about 185 million. So pretty great. Furiosa, as of July 12th,
yeah.
2024, Furiosa has grossed 67.5 million in the US and Canada, 105.3 million in other territories, for a worldwide total of 172.8 million. The
Yeah.
film's box office performance was deemed a failure, is what it said. Um,
But yeah, hold on. Let me show you first the opening weekend. Mad Max Fury Road opened to $45.4 million. And
oh damn!
it was still beaten by Pitch Perfect 2
I
for that
forgot they came
opening
out at the same
weekend.
time.
But Furiosa only made 25 million on the opening weekend.
Furiosa. So
So half. It made a
uh,
half.
I'm looking at the budget for Furiosa and the box office. Budget of
Yeah.
168 million, box office 172 million.
Yeah.
That's rough. That
Yeah.
is rough.
That's
Like it's like people liked it, which I'm glad, but like that's painful. And I
yeah.
think I think it has to do with a lot of movies being prequels and sequels this year, which I did not know until you told me.
Yeah.
And that I think that's what hurts it, which is
Yeah.
unfortunate. Like if they had made this movie first
Yeah.
and got people into the Mad Max and then did the other one, I don't know if that would have done better. But like because they had the script ready, they said
I don't think it would have because I don't know that people would be going into theaters to see Mad Max if this had come out first. Because it's just it does not have the same just like draw and crispness and just
Christmas.
Christmas. It doesn't have Christmas. Neither of them do. But no, it just doesn't have that like that. I don't know. It doesn't have the sparkle. It doesn't sparkle like Mad Max Fury Road did. So like if I had seen this first, I probably would have absolutely no interest to go see Mad Max Fury Road.
Mm. I
Yeah.
do I do think this being a limited or a mini series, I think would have
Yeah,
done it a little bit better. I
I
think the
agree.
production cost might have been higher. I'm actually not certain about that. I don't know anything about creating any of these things. I just watch them.
Yeah.
Um, like so it would have been interesting with that. I
Yeah.
just don't know. Obviously, this whole screenplay would have had to be rewritten and figured out for all of that jazz. But I think that could have helped
I
because that
don't,
way it's at streaming, so they already make
yeah.
the money.
Yeah. I don't think that it would necessarily would have required them to like completely upturn the screenplay. I think they could have just gone into more details. Like
They could
just
have done more.
they
Yeah.
literally could have done the exact same story, just given the details instead of being like, oh yeah, here we are for 20 minutes of the movie. Now we're gonna move over to the next town for 20 minutes. Now we're gonna move over to the next place for 20 minutes. And it's
Yeah.
like they could have been like every episode is like, okay, today we're in
This
Gastown.
this
Then
age or whatever. Yeah.
yeah, this age and she's in Gastown. Now she's this age and she's in the with the bullet farmers. Like it could have had that kind of progression
We
and
could have had
showed
two
us these
episodes of
details.
we could have had 2 episodes just of her as a war boy.
Yeah. Oh my God. I want to see her as a war boy. That's what I thought this was. And I was very disappointed. Like I wanted to see her with her head shaved the like 99% of the movie. And I was disappointed when she wasn't, even when she was an adult, she grew her hair out. I was like, why wouldn't you cut it with the rest of the war boys? Like you've been hiding with them. Why not cut it? Like, why do you still have bangs and long hair? That doesn't make any sense.
What's
Uh,
really weird is there's two facts about that I learned about this from reading this.
yeah,
They almost made it an anime movie. Like, and I'm like, that would have been great. That would have been crazy.
anime. Interesting.
Yeah, they were gonna hire a director that worked on iconic Studio Ghibli films and stuff, but
Oh,
also
okay.
the director George Miller, um, famously versatile director, but he was inspired by The Godfather Part Two. Like this movie was inspired by a gangster film.
I mean, okay. I mean, I full-heartedly believe you can be inspired by a lot of things. So, if that's
I mean, it's cool.
your thought
Also,
process, yeah.
Anya Taylor-Joy doesn't have a driver's license. She learned to
Yeah, I
drive on the
saw
set of
that.
this film, apparently,
Yeah, like she only knows how to do stunts or something. Like she doesn't actually know how to drive.
which is hilarious.
Yeah, I think that's great.
Absolutely hilarious.
Yeah. Oh, I do want to ask you, how do you feel about that final scene when they tie it into Mad Max Fury Road when they throw in Charlize Theron's face, uh, and like try to tie it in again?
Um, that they just skipped like 10, 15 years, like out of nowhere. Like,
I
we've
don't.
been skipping around, but like honestly,
Yeah.
like they were like they start saying stuff and we get the scene that leads us into Mad Max Fury Road, and I'm just like, this was unnecessary.
Yep. Yeah.
Like, I understand wanting to tie things together, but we already know the whole purpose of this movie was to give us like we don't need we know what happens. Like we
Yeah.
get it. We watch the movie. I guess if people haven't seen the movie, it's one thing, but it's like clearly more people saw that movie than this movie.
Yeah. And you don't need to. You don't even if someone hasn't seen that movie, you still need to tie it together because you need to give them something to go see. Like you don't have to be like, oh, here's this elusive. I don't know what word I was going for. But here's this scene that's tying you to this other movie. Now go watch it. It's kind of like you can leave it as is and be like, man, I want to see like, oh,
So
where her character originated from, like what inspired this. So
so Chekhov's gun. It don't
yes,
show something and not you do something with it. But it's like this didn't doesn't fall under that.
no, it doesn't. No,
Like it was just like we could just be chill.
yeah,
Like, what are you looking for, my guy? He's looking for Chekhov's gun.
yeah.
But no,
He's like,
it's so crazy to me because I think there was a lot of potential with this film, and I'm
mhm.
not saying they wasted it by any means. I
No,
just don't think this was the best way to tell Furiosa's story because there's still a lot of holes in it.
yeah,
Like the everything makes sense. I'm not saying the plot holes, like none of this makes sense. It's simply like we have massive gaps that we're missing. And I
yeah,
feel like they could have just I don't think they needed to start from her being kidnapped.
yeah,
Like I feel like they could have done that in 20 seconds. Like she gets kidnapped uh, somewhere close to the green place. They kill the people. We move on. But like she gets taken, and
yeah,
then we could have started with her being sold or whatever to Immortan Joe, and then just go from there and Warboy it up.
yeah,
Like witness me, Valhalla with my ashes.
yeah. No, I agree. I think, yeah, too many ideas for one character, and like I've seen a lot of people say like this is a movie no one even asked for. Like no one asked for a
Oh well,
Furiosa.
that's mean. I don't think it's that bad.
No, 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 no. I'm not saying it was a bad movie. I'm just saying that this wasn't the prequel that people wanted. Like they're there to see Mad Max. They're there to follow that story, and they felt like Furiosa's story was kind of complete as it was. We know what happened to her in the past based on the other movies, so it was kind of like, why are we like we didn't need all of these details. We didn't need everything that was provided in here to make us understand Furiosa more or to like she wasn't super elusive or anything like that, I don't feel. Um, but I don't
I
know. That's just
I
my opinion.
feel like no, I agree. I feel like this movie Furiosa was always a very resourceful character in Fury Road,
Yeah.
and this movie I don't
It
think
didn't
we really got more knowledge of Furiosa by any means. Like, yeah, we got to
no.
see stuff, but like,
She was
and
always resourceful. She always
yeah,
had the
we
knowledge. It wasn't like she learned it or gained it. I think like
no, it's just she just had this naturally.
Yeah, and like one thing I think that I've noticed a lot when it comes to uh films that have female leads, and I've seen other people say this as well, is that we don't want to see a female lead that's strong and knows it all and can do anything. Like, yes, women can do just as much as men, but we the point of a story is to have an arc, to show them grow, to show them not be perfect. And so
There
a
was
character like Furiosa is like, oh, she's already strong, she's already smarter than everyone else, she's already outwitting everyone and moving her way through. Yes, she lost her arm, but she still was strong enough to survive cutting off her own arm. Like,
none of that made sense, by the way. None of that made sense. Where did no one saw?
yeah, no one saw her cut off her arm, walk off, steal a bike, and flee. Like,
Yeah, like what are you
yeah,
talking about? I'll take it. It's a movie. It's fine. But it's like
yeah,
some of like yeah, looking back, can you describe character development?
no, like
Like
she was just always was essentially.
yeah, like this is like I mean, the nerds that are listening to us, Dark Side is. I'm not going to describe explain more of that statement. I just want the nerds to have heard me, and we'll get to it when we watch other movies. But yeah, the character development throughout all of this was interesting because it wasn't there, but we had character development weirdly for Dementus as he goes more and more dementia and demented, and
Yeah,
then we've got character development for nobody else because the rest of this world's character development happens in Fury Road.
yeah, I think so. I don't think.
We get character development for Furiosa in that movie.
Yeah, I think so. Like, at least
Yeah.
a little bit more. Like, we see a vulnerable person who's trying to help other people get through a tough spot.
Which also, like, in this movie, we don't see a Furiosa that wants to help anyone.
Yeah, exactly. Except for she wasn't even helping the guy that she loved. He was helping her. I, yeah, it didn't.
Love? Which, I don't, once again, in a 20-minute thing, like, what do you mean? I understand this world is crazy and you just need to, like, procreate whenever you can. Like, they could have gone to have sex anywhere in the wasteland without anyone seeing them. And, like, that would have been fine. Also, stop putting sex scenes into every movie. Not every movie needs it. Like, we're good. I don't get it. I just don't get it. I'm glad this one didn't have one, but, like, I don't understand how we fell in love. We just accepted that they were in love, and I don't understand.
Yeah, like she trusted him way too. Like there could have been a whole like hour and a half of them developing trust or something. Like,
They
and
shot at us once. We're in love now.
yeah, like he threw her out of a truck, and then he's like, "All right, I'll help you." Like, no, why would you do that?
Like, I she cut her own arm off and left him, by the way. Did we see him die? I forget how he died. He didn't really matter that much.
No, they drove him around on behind a
They
bike.
did, right?
He,
Okay,
he
yeah.
got eaten by dogs, yeah.
Yeah,
And
okay.
she had to watch.
Yes, okay. That is what happened. That's what I thought. Because I was like, we don't actually like we see it, but we also eventually were just like, all right, we're moving on.
Yeah, yeah.
Like we moved on quick and we never brought him up again. It was
Yeah,
never like he's just totally unmentioned.
yep. Which I will say is probably like the norm for that world that they're living in, but that still for it to be her love interest to just like not even have like not even having like really a revenge for that. Like when she came back for revenge against Dementis, I was kind of like, okay, this is for killing your mom. Like he actually seemed to have like treated you like, yes, he tortured your mom, but like he actually kind of seemed to treat you well. Like he would have protected you. So in a world like this, you kind of need that.
I
But
mean, dude, Jack's best line in this whole freaking movie was if you survive everything we take on together, you'll have all the skills you'll need to go wherever you want. Survive everything we take on together. I thought Jack was manipulative. I think he was just trying to like he was like, okay, this girl's doing pretty good. I stick
yeah,
with her, we all win.
I
And I
thought
get laid.
yeah, I thought he was gonna be shady and like turn on her or something. I thought there would be more development of his character, and then there wasn't.
No, because he served his purpose within 15 minutes and then we moved on.
Yeah. He apparently was the person who taught her everything, but I didn't see him teach her a single thing.
We didn't see it at all. And I was just like, one was cut. Like, was there scenes that were cut? Like, I don't know. I feel like they gave me a movie, and I don't think they gave me all of it, and so I just don't
That yeah,
know.
that's how I feel as well. It felt like they filmed like 8 hours of stuff and they were like, oh, well, shit, we need this to be 2.5 hours. Where can we
Yeah,
cut where can we trim the fat here?
I honestly
Um,
don't have much more to say about this movie. I feel like we got it all out there because
yeah.
it's like it's not bad.
No,
It's not
it,
bad by any means.
it's
It
not
just
bad.
seems like it was supposed to be something else.
Yeah, like it was fully I was entertained. Sat down and watched the whole thing. Like I have no complaints with the movie in general, but like just I think just in comparison to the other movie, Mad Max Fury Road, which is the only other Mad Max we've seen, it just didn't live up to it, and it was just too much going on, not enough character development. Wanted to see Furiosa be a little bit more vulnerable, and that's it. Yeah,
Yeah, I just wanted to go in too many directions with it, and I think because of that we didn't finish any of those directions.
agreed. Yeah,
So I guess the important question that I like to ask: would you buy this film on DVD?
I think you know the answer.
I don't think it's going on my shelf.
No, no. It did make me appreciate the other one way more.
Oh my god, that movie was so and like this movie was fun, but
Yeah,
it was you weren't at the edge of your seat the whole movie.
yeah, agreed.
And I think, and I understand that you want to tell different stories in like the same world. I get that.
Yeah,
And we knew this movie would be slightly different, of course, because like you can't just have another car chase.
yeah,
But like there was a lot of things I just think this movie missed. It hit certain notes, but I think it missed others.
yeah,
And
agreed.
that's my state. That's my thing on this
It
movie. That's
is.
what it is.
All right. Okay. Well, I think we can wrap this one up. I think we're both like, we said it, we've done it.
Yeah,
Um,
I can't say the same thing again and again, but I think the important thing is tell us more movies to watch. Have
yes,
Kathleen torture me with other movies.
yes. Any recommendations? Anything you guys want us to ramble about? Please let us know. And thanks for listening. All right. Bye.
Good evening, good afternoon, good night.